Okay, hello all. Let's start this demo session on SAP S4HANA Logistics. Okay, so before I talk about what exactly is this demo session all about, let me tell you what exactly is SAP Simple Logistics or SAP S4HANA Logistics. Okay, so SAP has developed a completely new product in 2015. Okay, and they came up with different versions of this product. So they firstly introduced something called as SAP Simple Finance, okay, which was somewhere around in 2014, and the next version of SAP Simple Finance came into 2015 in the month of March. So they named this product as SAP Simple Finance 1503. 15 stands for the year and 03 stands for the month, that is March. This Simple Finance was a name which was given to this product because according to SAP, they have provided the simplifications in the financial module, and that is the reason the name itself was Simple Finance. The plan was to provide the simplification in different modules, but SAP has started with finance, and the first version was containing only the simplifications which were related to finance. Okay, but that was not the end. Actually, that was a starting point, because they don't wanted to simplify only finance. They wanted to simplify all the business modules which are available in SAP. And that is the reason we were expecting, the market was expecting that when SAP will simplify the logistics functionalities also, they will come up with a product called as SAP Simple Logistics, but which never happened. And although SAP has simplified the logistics functionalities, but they never renamed this product as SAP Simple Logistics. The product was called as SAP S4HANA. Now, why the product was called SAP S4HANA when for the finance SAP has provided the Simple Finance? The reason was SAP Simple Finance, it was only providing the simplifications in finance, but SAP S4HANA is not only logistics. SAP S4HANA provides the simplifications in finance as well as logistics. That is the reason they cannot rename or they cannot name this product only Simple Logistics, because you cannot only work on the simplifications of logistics. In Simple Finance, you can simplify your financial processes without impacting logistics, but it cannot be vice versa. It cannot be you only want to simplify logistics keeping finance as it is. That is not possible. So SAP S4HANA simplifies both finance as well as logistics functionalities, and in future there are a lot of other modules also which will be simplified in SAP S4HANA. So SAP S4HANA is a completely new product which is still under development. Why I'm saying it is still under development? Because we are expecting a lot of different versions to come in SAP S4HANA in future to simplify many different processes. As of today, there are already some versions available which are simplifying the core business modules. We'll talk about that, how 1511 simplifies the modules and what is the difference between 1511 and 1610. But in future also, there will be 1710, 1810, like different kind of versions will be available which will simplify more and more processes. Okay, so SAP S4HANA is the official name of this product, and why we are saying it as logistics, because in this particular course, we are only concentrating on the simplifications in logistics. We are not going to talk about anything about Simple Finance. We'll be just having the overview of Simple Finance towards the end of this course. The target audience for this course will be the consultants who are coming from the core modules. So in this course, we are going to talk about the 3 core modules, that is materials management, sales and distribution, and production planning. So as I told you, the target audience must be someone who already has the experience in either of one module. We are only going to focus on these three modules, what has been changed compared to ECC in SAP S4HANA for MM, for ST, and for PP. Okay, let me now proceed towards the next slide. Okay, before I go further, let me introduce myself. My name is Gaurav and I'm working on SAP from last 11 years. I worked on different roles. I started as a consultant, then became solution architect, also managed some of the projects as a project manager, and currently from last 2 years, I'm concentrating on SAP S4HANA offerings. Okay, so this is about me, and now let's talk about this particular slide. So before we go further and talk about what we are going to understand in this course, but before that, let's talk about the reason why SAP has came up with a new product first of all. Okay, so we all know that SAP is a very good product. We all know that it is a market leader in terms of ERP. There are a lot of big customers who are already running the SAP solutions and they are getting the benefits what they expected from SAP, but still there are some challenges in the SAP system. So I hope all of you are working on SAP from last many years. So if I ask you some of the common challenges that you or your customers are facing on SAP, obviously these are some of the pointers that will come to your mind. The first one is slower reporting and slower closing. So I hope all of you will agree that although SAP provides you a lot of different integration points, it provides you a lot of different reports, but this is a common complaint from all the customers that I'm not getting the reports on time. It is taking a huge amount of time to generate the report. Normally during the month ends, at least from the finance point of view, you need to close your books on a particular date. Let's say in some of the companies you need to close your books on 5th or maybe 10th. So this is a common complaint that the users are not able to close their books on time because the reports are not working properly. Reports are not working means reports are not generated on time. This is a very common complaint. Okay, so what is the reason now? Why, even after having a strong system, why the reports are not generated on time? The basic reason is the data is scattered in the current SAP system. Whenever you save any transaction, whenever you perform any transaction, the tables which are affected in the background, there are different kind of tables. Just to give you an example, if you are performing the MIGO transaction of good receipt, there are around 10 to 15 different tables which will get updated in the background. So if I'm doing a single transaction, it is getting stored in 10, 15 different tables. Now, obviously, if I try to retrieve the data, I need to go into at least whatever is according to my requirement. I may need to go into 5 or let's say 8 different tables. So if I'm finding the data, if I want to display the data from the tables, what I need to do, I need to first go into the first table, then from there I need to create a condition to go into the second table, then the third, then the fourth. So what is happening is I am keeping on changing the control from one table to another table. Now that is not something which is very productive because it takes a lot of time to change the control from one table to another table. That is the main reason why the reports are slower. Even forget about the standard reports. If I ask you to create a new report, if a user has provided you the new requirement that I want to create a new report, so normally as a functional consultant, we go and create the functional specifications. So in this FS, what we need to do, we need to specify which tables will be involved, how the link will be created between one table to another table. So here also, you are not getting the data from one or two tables. You need to keep on rotating between different tables. And that is the reason your reports are slow. So what can be the solution? The solution can be, if we try to minimize the number of tables and we try to keep most of the information in less number of tables, that will really help and you can get the reports on time. But why, if that is a simple solution, if we can just reduce the number of tables, why it is not done from years? Why SAP has not done the same thing in ECC itself? The reason is the database that we are using. As you must be knowing that SAP till year 2009, they doesn't had their own database. We were dependent on other database vendors to provide the database services while the application was only SAP. So there are third-party databases like Oracle, SQL Server, MySQL, and there are a lot of databases which SAP was supporting. So all these databases, they were storing the data in the hard disk. First thing, we'll talk about that, what is the difference between hard disk and all, but so this kind of databases, we are storing the data in the hard disk, and in order to fetch the data from hard disk, again it is a big challenge. That is the reason, in order to improvise the performance, SAP has divided the data into different tables. Okay, which means if you want to simplify this, what you need to have a powerful database. Then only you can think of bringing the data at one common place. And that is what exactly SAP has done with the power of SAP HANA. So in order to solve this particular thing, in order to make sure that the reports can be performed faster and closing can be performed on time, SAP has now came up with their own database called as SAP HANA, which will be storing the data directly in RAM, and due to which SAP has simplified the way in which the data will be stored in the tables via the SAP S4HANA application. We'll talk more about that, but this is the overview of how SAP is trying to make sure that the reports and closing can be performed on time. Second important point is high cost of operations. Okay, if you have any doubts, you can just note down that doubts in your PC or somewhere. I'll give you the time once I complete these 2 slides. The second important pain point was high cost of operations. What is the cost of operations? Cost of operations means the regular cost that you keep on incurring by using SAP system. For example, if you want to see the reports from SAP, definitely you need to enter the data into SAP first, right? Till the time you will not enter the transactions, you will not be able to see the report. You will not be able to do the transactions till the time the data, the master data is not available in the system. So again, you need the master data before you perform the transaction. And obviously, before you do the master data, you need the configuration data available in the system. So all these things are dependent to each other. So you need the team of consultants who will be responsible for configuration. You need the team of master data maintenance who will be responsible for creating the master data. You need the team of people who are going to perform the transactions, and then only you will be able to see the reports. So looking at the current SAP screen today, as you know, the screens are not simple. So for example, if I want to create a master data, because the screens are not simple, I incur more time in creation of that. So for example, in a single day, I'm just giving you the example, in a single day, if I need to create 100 master data, okay, and let's say the capacity of per person is to create only 25 in a day, I need 4 team members to perform this task. But if I simplify the screens, if I make sure that instead of having a difficult screen to do the transaction, if I provide you the simpler screen in which a single person can do hundreds of transactions in a day, then definitely this will save your operation cost. And that is exactly what SAP has done via SAP Fiori. So SAP Fiori is something which will help you simplifying the user screens, not only from the master data point of view, transactions as well as reporting point of view, you can now use SAP Fiori screens. SAP Fiori is a new user interface which is going to replace the traditional screens that we were using. So for example, in order to create a purchase requisition, we were going to transaction ME21N, where there were, I think, more than 200, 300 fields available in the particular screen, which was creating the confusion. Now SAP has came up with a new app on Fiori called as Create Purchase Order, in which the fields are restricted to around 50, which means it will reduce the confusion, and the way in which the purchase order can be created, it is simplified. So earlier, if you were taking, let's say, 10 or 15 seconds to create a purchase order, now it can be created within 3 to 4 seconds. So that is something which will help you in reducing the amount of time which is spent by your users to perform the transactions. As of now, from consultant point of view, the configuration screens are still available in SPRO via the traditional GUI, but going forward, even the job of consultant will become easy when SAP will provide you the SAP Fiori screens to perform the configuration. So there are already some screens available from the cloud point of view, but on-premise still supports the normal SPRO screens to perform the configuration. Finally, high cost of infrastructure. So today, if I'm a customer and I want to implement SAP, I was not using SAP till now, I was using any third-party tool. Now I want to move to SAP. In that case, if I talk from the ECC point of view till year 2009-10, the first thing that I need to do is purchase the hardware. Right? I need the server, I need the networking devices, I need the team of consultants who are going to take care of this server. So there is a huge one-time cost involved if I want to implement SAP, due to which many small or medium customers go away and they implement something else apart rather than SAP. Why? Because they are not ready to invest this one-time cost. They don't have that much budget. While the other third-party ERP systems, there are a lot of ERP systems who are providing the cloud solution, which means you don't need to purchase any hardware, you don't need to maintain any, you don't need any users who will be, consultants who will be taking care of the server. This all things will be provided to you by the third party, and you just need to pay the subscription fees. So due to which, a lot of customers who were really interested in implementing SAP, but because of budget, they were selecting something else. So now even SAP is providing the cloud-based solution, which means again, you don't need to purchase any hardware, you don't need to have any networking devices, you don't need any team of consultants who are going to take care of the server, because all these things will be taken care by the third party. What you need to do is you just need to pay the subscription fees and start using SAP on day one. Okay, so this is something which was asking you to have a one huge time cost, which is not required now because SAP is also providing you on cloud solution. So as we discussed, there are mainly these 3 pain points, and the answer to these 3 pain points have been already provided by SAP S4HANA. Okay, now let me take you what exactly are we going to talk about during this course. Okay, let me first tell you the difference between SAP HANA and SAP S4HANA. SAP HANA is just a database, okay, which has replaced the traditional databases that we were using till now. SAP S4HANA is an application which is built on SAP HANA database. I'll give you the example till year 2009 or maybe 10 also, because SAP HANA came in around 11. So in 9-10 we were using the ECC system on any database. It may be Oracle or SQL Server. So Oracle SQL Server, this is my database, and the version that I'm using from SAP is SAP, let's say ECC EHP6 or EHP7. Similarly, now when I'm using SAP S4HANA 1610, so SAP S4HANA 1610 is a version of SAP that I'm using, which is only supported on HANA database. So your database, which was Oracle SQL Server, has been replaced with HANA database, and your application, which was EHP6, has been replaced with SAP S4HANA 1610. Okay, so in year 2011, SAP has first came up with the HANA database. And then only over these 4 years, from 2011 to 2015, SAP was trying to simplify the processes. And in 2015, SAP came up with the first version on SAP S4HANA, as I told you, 1511, which was launched in November 2015. So this first application was SAP S4HANA. So till the year 2011 to 2015, there was only HANA database. There was nothing called as SAP S4HANA. SAP S4HANA came into the picture only from year 2015. The first version was 1511 and the current version that we are using is 1610. Okay, and we are expecting the next version in 1710, that is September or October 2017. Okay, so this is what we are going to understand in this course. As I told you earlier itself, that we are only going to concentrate on 3 core modules, that is what has been changed from MM point of view, what has been changed from SD point of view, and whatever has been changed from PP point of view. What we are going to talk about from MM, it is very clearly specified in this slide. What we are going to talk about SD, again it is very specifically mentioned about SD and PP also. Okay, so we are going to start off with SAP HANA overview. Although HANA is a database, which is a technical point, right? But still there are some pointers, there are some theoretical things that we need to understand from HANA point of view, like what is in-memory computing, what is column-based data storage, why SAP HANA is powerful compared to the traditional databases that we were using. So we are not going to see in the system like how HANA is configured or how HANA is developed. That is something which is beyond our scope, because we are the functional consultant and we just need to know how HANA can help us to simplify the processes. That's it. So 1 or 2 sessions will be concentrating on understanding what exactly is SAP HANA and how it is better than the traditional databases that we were using. Then we'll go to key enablers of SAP S4HANA. What are the key enablers of SAP S4HANA? Key enablers means the backbone of SAP S4HANA. Obviously, the first backbone is SAP HANA database, because without that, SAP S4HANA was not possible. The second backbone is SAP Fiori. It is helping to simplify the screens. So database point of view, SAP HANA is supporting. Screen point of view, SAP Fiori is supporting. And there are some simplified processes. The third key enabler is simplified processes. So which processes are simplified from MM, which processes are simplified from SD, and finally which processes are simplified from PP. These 3 are the backbone of SAP S4HANA. Then we'll talk about overview of SAP Activate methodology. So till now in ECC we were using SAP methodology from years. What was SAP methodology? It was a suggested approach to implement any kind of ECC implementation project. So there were 5 different phases: initial preparation, business blueprint, realization, final preparation, and finally go live and support. So that is something which we are using from years, but now there is a change in that. SAP has provided a new methodology which will help you to even accelerate the speed of your SAP implementations, which is based on the Agile, PMP, and Scrum Master concepts. Okay, so that is something which we'll be understanding in the Activate methodology session. So these 3 will be the theoretical sessions which will help you understand what exactly SAP S4HANA is, how are we going to implement SAP S4HANA. Then we'll be starting with the practical sessions. So we'll be having the first look at SAP S4HANA system, including the overview to SAP Fiori. So I'll show you how the new system looks like, what is the difference between the new system vis-a-vis the old system, how SAP Fiori screens are visible, how you can log in into SAP Fiori app, what are the different characteristics of SAP Fiori, like what is the role-based, what are the different kind of apps you will get in SAP Fiori. All these things we'll be discussing directly in the practical session. And then we'll start with the configuration. So obviously we are going to talk about 2 different projects in this course. One is the completely new implementation. So what if you are going into the project which is starting from scratch, how you need to configure the system, how you need to configure the delta things. Again, we are only going to concentrate on delta. So if you are the MM consultant, you are already aware of many different things. We are not going to talk about each and everything in MM. We are only going to focus on what has been changed compared to how MM was earlier and how this process will behave now. Now, obviously, we have the consultants from SD and PP also. So let's say, for example, if I am explaining something from MM, SD and PP may not be aware of the existing functionality in MM. Okay, so only for that delta functionality, I'm going to talk how the thing was handled in ECC first, so that all of you are on same page, you understand how ECC system was working on this particular process, and then I'll focus on how it will be handled in SAP S4HANA. So even if you don't have the cross-module knowledge, that is not a problem. So whatever things we are going to discuss, I'll first explain you how this was handled in ECC, and then I will come to how this will be handled in SAP S4HANA. Okay, so we'll start off with the configuration of enterprise structure. Then we will proceed towards the master data changes. I'll tell you how material master and business partner master has been changed. Business partner means you cannot create the customers and vendors in the existing way. XD01, XK01, all these transactions are not available now. So in order to do that creation, in order to create the customers and vendors, mandatorily we need to create a business partner, which is a new term to most of you. If you're not used CRM, SRM or FSCM application, normally business partner is something which we were not creating till now. But now onwards in SAP S4HANA, you have to create your customer and vendor only as a business partner. So how to do that? What are the different configurations required? What about the number ranges? All that things, tables also, we'll be discussing in the master data sections. Then we will concentrate on one module at a time. So we'll start with MM. First session will be theoretical session where we'll be understanding what has been changed from MM point of view. And then we will focus on the practical thing like material ledger, what has been changed from material ledger point of view. Simplified pricing, how my pricing has been changed. Data model means how the data will be stored now, which tables are removed, which tables are simplified. We'll talk in the data model section. Output determination, the way in which we determine the output using NACE, that is something which has been replaced with a new technology now called as PRF+. So that is something which we'll be discussing in this output determination section. And SAP Fiori apps. So I'll show you one complete cycle, how to create a purchase requisition, purchase order, gate reset using the SAP Fiori apps. Okay, this will be the practical session. Again, there will be some pointers which we'll be discussing in theory. The reason is because these are not directly related to the core functionalities like SRM. It is already the different application. So what has been changed from SRM point of view, what we are expecting in future from SRM point of view, that will be theoretical. Foreign trade management, which is very much part of MM and ST, but in SAP S4HANA, this functionality is not supported, foreign trade management. The only option is to go for GTS, Global Trade Services, which is an external service. That is the reason we'll be discussing this in theory. Then we'll start with SD. Again, we will have a theoretical session in understanding what has been changed. Practically, we will see the changes in the data model, changes in the pricing, billing output determination. Here it was purchase order determination. Here it is billing determination. Credit management functionality has been changed completely. You are not allowed to use the normal credit management. So till now, if you are using transaction FD32 to create a credit master data, that is no more available. Only FSCM credit management is available, so you'll understand how are you going to configure the FSCM credit management and how are you going to perform the master data and transactional data transactions. Okay, and SD rebate processing. Again, there is a change in the way how the rebates will be processed, which has been replaced with the settlement management. So these things we will see in practical. We'll configure everything, we'll do the transactions, we'll see the reports. Everything we'll be doing this in the practical session. Again, there will be some topics in ST which will be theoretical like CRM, foreign trade as I told you same here, and revenue recognition, which is again replaced with the external component called as revenue accounting and reporting. From the PP point of view, we will be concentrating on MRP live, which is a very important functionality. Okay, so within MRP Live, there is a change in the planning horizon. There is a change in the way in which the system processes the MRP logic. All these things we'll understand in 2 or 3 sessions that we'll be having on MRP Live. And then once we completed this MMSD and PP changes from the new implementation point of view, as I told you, the second kind of project that we'll be performing is the conversion project. Conversion project means if the customer is already using ECC and they want to move now to SAP S4HANA using the same system, that kind of project will be called as a system conversion. So we'll understand what are the different conversion tools which are provided by SAP. How are you going to convert your existing customers and vendors into business partners? Because as I told you, you cannot create the customers and vendors in the same way in SAP S4HANA. So you need to convert all your customers and vendors into SAP business partners before you move to SAP S4HANA. SAP has provided the conversion cockpit, which will allow you to migrate the data from old tables to new tables. How to use that we'll see in the conversion cockpit. And finally, as I told you, there will be one session on overview to SAP Simple Finance, where you will understand how the simplifications are available in finance, what will be the change from the integration point of view between MM and ST to FI. Okay, so this is what we are going to talk about during this particular course. Now I will mute you one by one. You need to raise your hand. Okay, I will just mute you one by one, or maybe you can also write your question on the chat screen. Please restrict your questions to the course content regarding the timings, when exactly we are starting, what will be the fees, whether the server will be provided or not, what documentation will be provided. All these things you can check with the administrators. Just concentrate on the course content as of now. Let's answer me the documentation part. So I'll be providing you the PPTs which are consolidated from different sources. So from the certification documents, from the help.sap.com, from different sources I have created the PPTs that will be provided to you. Apart from that, whatever documentations will be provided, that you need to check with the administrators. Okay, so proceed now. Just raise your hand in the, yeah, otherwise you just write your questions on the chat screen. Okay, let me answer the questions one by one now. Yeah, the first question is from Venugopal. He's asking, what are the details, what are the deltas available for invoicing in SD? See, invoicing in SD, I think rebate processing is the only delta, because if you see the SD part, I have highlighted what are the different things which have been changed in SD. So the invoicing includes also the output determination, because the way in which the output will be determined for your invoice, that has been changed. So earlier you were configuring the output determination using transaction names, but now that has to be configured via the PRF plus application. That is the only thing which is available from the billing point of view, and apart from that, the rebate processing. These are the two changes that I will say from the billing point of view. Venugopal, I hope you got your question. Okay, there is another question from Swaroop. Yes, Swaroop. As I told you, these things you need to check with the administrators. I'm sure they will be sharing, but I don't want to speak here. You need to check with the administrator regarding the documentation part, what documentations will be shared. Another question is from Sekhar. He's asking, regarding MB5B, MB52, will there be any changes? Yes, there are some changes okay, that we'll be discussing during this deltas in SAP MM. Okay, not directly to these transactions, but there are a lot of transactions which are changed. You will not be able to use the normal transactions that you were using till now. They are replaced with the new transactions. Okay, so whatever has been changed from the transaction point of view in the way how you are going to perform the transactions, that we'll be discussing during this practical session on MM, deltas in MM. Another question is from Venugopal. How long will it take to convert from ECC 6.0 to HANA with minimum users? This is a very open question. It all depends upon the scenario. It all depends upon the customer. Some of the customers are very active. They will ask you, I want to convert my system in 3 months. Some of the customers will say, please go slower. I'm ready to first move to EHP 6 to EHP 7. Then I'm ready to go with HANA database. Then only go for SAP S4HANA. So in that kind of customers, you may need more than 2 years also. So it all depends upon the situation. It all depends upon what are the volume of data, how the customer is responding. There are a lot of factors to it. So there is no straight answer like how much time you will require in case of implementation or the migration project. But SAP says that for each and every customer, you can migrate to SAP S4HANA as lower than 6 months. That is possible, but it all depends upon whether the customer is ready for that or not. Yes, Teja, this is a good question. He's asking, can we move from ECC EHP6, which is on Oracle database, to SAP S4HANA directly, or first we need to move to HANA and then to S4? The answer is, in case of 1511 and 1610, you can directly move from ECC on Oracle to SAP S4HANA on HANA database without having the separate project on moving to SAP HANA. Okay, so SAP has provided a tool called as Software Update Manager, which can be used to migrate your application from ECC to SAP S4 and your database from non-HANA database to HANA database in one step. So you don't need a separate project to convert your database to HANA first. You can do it parallelly. You can do both the things parallelly. What are the, Ramesh is asking, what are the major changes in pricing? So pricing, there are two changes which is part of simplified pricing. One is there is a change in the data model, which means the data which was stored in table KONV is not going to be available in KONV now. It is being replaced with a new table. And we'll understand which is this new table, what has been changed, why it has been changed, okay, and what will be the impact on your custom codes, how to rectify your custom codes. This is something which we'll be discussing. And second change is the number of accesses within the access sequence. When you create an access sequence, you have the accesses within it. And today it is restricted to 99 accesses. So there are a lot of customers, lot of industries who are not happy with this restriction of 99 accesses within the access sequence. So now SAP has came up with the extension to that. So there are 999 accesses that you can have within the access sequence. These are the two basic changes in the simplified pricing. Naga is asking, is there any change in the release strategy workflow? No, Naga, it is exactly same. Releasing strategy has not been changed. That is the reason I have not highlighted it here. Whatever has been changed, I have highlighted here. Answering the Praveen question, he's asking the same thing. Is it mandatory for me to know SD and PP? If I want to learn SAP S4HANA, I am the MM consultant. As I told you, most of you are expert in one area. Okay, so some of you will be expert in SD, some of you will be expert in MM, and we are talking 3 modules at a time, right? So in that case, as I told you, you don't need to be aware of, let's say if you are MM consultant, it is completely fine if you don't know SD and PP, because I'm only going to focus on the deltas. So for example, whenever I'll be talking about, let's say from SD, talking about the credit management. So I'll not directly start what has been changed in SAP S4HANA. I'll start what is credit management first of all. I'll give you the basic overview to understand what exactly is credit management. Then I will show you how this credit management was used in ECC so that you become comfortable that what exactly this functionality was in ECC. Then only I will tell you, okay, this is how it was done in ECC. Now let's talk about how it will be handled in SAP S4. So you will get a complete picture. Even if you are not aware of the basic functionality, you will get to understand that for the other modules also. Uh, Vivek is asking what is the difference between on-premise and cloud. So as I told you, till now, till year 2009, the only on-premise version was available on SAP ECC, which means if you want to use SAP system, you need to have your own server. That is the reason. When we are saying own server, it means you need the ownership of that server which will be kept on your premise. The cloud is something which you don't need to own the system. It will be provided to you by the third party. That is the only difference. But from the functional point of view, when we are understanding what has been changed from SD, PP and MM, it will not make any change. Even if you are using cloud on-premise, that is something which is not going to impact the normal business processes. Shri Hari is asking, there is some background noise. I request all of you to please mute yourself. I'll give you the time to ask your questions. Next question is from Shri Hari. He is asking, will you teach how to customize Fiori screens? Fiori is something which is a completely technical module. I will show you how Fiori screens looks like. I will show you what are the different kind of apps in the Fiori. I will tell you how you can modify or personalize your home screen. But if you are asking, I want to create a new app completely on SAP Fiori, that is something which is a technical task. You need the coding knowledge, you need the OData services knowledge. There are a lot of prerequisites for that. And that is the reason that is not something which is the scope of this course. Okay, so SAP Fiori is a technical module. If you are looking after creation of new Fiori app or something, then definitely that is to be done by the Fiori consultant. Mr. Krishna is asking what is the difference between central finance and simple finance? Is there a same way in logistics also? There is one scenario, okay, which is called as landscape transformation. So as I told you, we are going to focus on two different projects. One is the new implementation and other is a conversion. There can be the third type of scenario called as landscape transformation, wherein you are not completely scrapping your existing ECC. You want to run both ECC also and SAP S4HANA in parallel. So you want whatever transactions I'll be doing in ECC, it should flow in real time to the SAP S4HANA system. So that is something called as landscape transformation, and a good example of it is central finance in finance from the finance point of view. But normally from the logistics point of view, this is not something which we'll be looking for, because normally landscape transformation is something which will be used for the financial consolidation, and that is the reason we are using central finance component. But I don't think any reason for using this concept from the logistics point of view. It is restricted to central finance. Another question is from Nag. He is asking, apart from HANA database and Fiori, what are the new technologies you need to be familiar with? See, Fiori and HANA, as I told you, both are the technical things. So whatever knowledge is required, you will be getting out of this course from the functional point of view, how HANA is better and how Fiori screens looks like. Okay, you don't need the technical knowledge from HANA and Fiori point of view. You are asking what other knowledge I need to be familiar with. The main knowledge that you need to get is what has been changed from the functional point of view. Okay, so that is something which we are going to concentrate on. Apart from the HANA and Fiori, we are going to more concentrate on what are the processes which are changed. which are the simplified processes in SAP S4. But apart from that, from the technical point of view, yes, HANA and Fiori, these are the two things that are new in SAP S4HANA. Swaroop is asking what is the latest version? Is it 16.10? Yes, as of today 16.10 is the latest version. Going forward in 17.10, 17.09 or 17.10 we will be getting the new version. So as of now 16.10 is the latest version. I'll talk more about it when we start the sessions. In the second session of overview to SAP S4HANA, I'll talk about how these versions are planned, what is the difference in the versions of on-premise and on-cloud. But now to answer your question from the on-premise point of view, 16.10 is the current version. Sudeep is asking the question, can you tell me how SAP S4HANA is integrated with SAP Ariba from SCM perspective? So there is a native integration now available. Native integration means earlier, if you want to connect SAP Ariba on your SAP system, there were different kind of plugins required. Now these plugins are already part of SAP S4HANA, which means you just need to tell the SAP that yes, I want to use SAP Ariba. It is like plug and play. You don't need to install any separate plugins, and it will make life easier to create the interface between Ariba and the SAP S4HANA system. Apart from that, Ariba, there is no change. The way in which you are doing the Ariba transaction, that will remain as it is. And to be very frank, SAP Ariba is something which is out of the scope for us because we are only going to concentrate on the core modules. So in one of the session where I'll be giving the overview to SAP S4HANA, in that I will tell you how Ariba is connected to your SAP S4HANA core system. That is the only thing that we are going to talk from the Ariba point of view. Nothing else is part of this course from Ariba and Firebase. All these things are completely out of scope. They are the completely separate modules available in SAP. Okay, so we are only going to concentrate on the deltas in MM, SD and PP. Nag is asking another question. In case of conversion, if the customer is already having lot of Z reports created, so do we need to rewrite all the codes? The answer is no. Okay, we are going to discuss this thing in complete detail. The answer is no, because even if the tables are changed, most of the reports will work as it is. There is a new concept called as CDS views, which we'll understand in complete detail in the second session. What are the CDS views? So using the CDS views, you can get the reports as you were getting till now. So I'm not saying 100% of the reports will work as it is, but at least 80%, 90% of the reports will work without rewriting them. Okay, you don't need to rewrite anything. Only the adjustments can be required in 10 to 20% of the reports. Manohari is asking, SAP Fiori is only for creating PP, SD, MM transactions, or it can be used for the reporting also. SAP Fiori can be used for transactions as well as reports. So that is same thing which I told you. We'll be discussing what are the different kind of transactions in Fiori. So there are transactional apps and there are analytical apps. The apps which will allow you to perform the transactions are called as transactional apps, and the apps which are used to perform the reports, they are called as the analytical apps. Raj is asking, are we going to discuss anything about QM? We are not discussing anything about QM in this particular course. We are only focusing, as I told you, on 3 core modules. Ramesh is asking, what about debugging? Is the debugging completely different than ECC? No, debugging is exactly same as you were doing in ECC. Sekhar is asking, will there be any system downtime in the migration procedures? Yes, definitely. Whenever you are migrating, there has to be some system downtime. Okay, how much downtime you need, that is based on what kind of transactions or what kind of volume you are going to migrate. Vivek is asking, can SAP S4HANA consultant can also work on SAP Fiori, or there is a dedicated SAP Fiori consultant? So SAP Fiori is again a niche skill. Okay, it is like a BAP, or maybe like let's say for example BW. Like these are the different skills, right? So normally functional consultant is not supposed to work on the Fiori point of view. There is a separate Fiori consultants available for this purpose. If you are doing that is great, but at the same time it is a completely different skill. You are not supposed to or you are not responsible for Fiori. If you are doing that is great. How SAP S4HANA relates to BW on HANA? BW on HANA is something which was the first SAP product which came on a HANA database. So in SAP S4HANA there is something called as embedded BW. So there are some functionalities of BW which are directly embedded in the same server, rather than normally when you use BW, you extract the data from ECC to BW. Now you don't need to do that because BW is embedded within the SAP S4HANA system and the reports will be available in real time. Is every transactional screen in SAP S4 is based on SAP Fiori? Most of the screens are available on SAP Fiori, but if still there are some screens which cannot be used through SAP Fiori, you can still use the traditional GUI. So traditional GUI is still available for those users who want to perform the transaction which is not available on Fiori. Swaroop is asking, is there any configuration app also in SAP Fiori? So as I told you, in case of on-premise, SAP has still not provided the configuration apps, but in case of cloud, there are some basic configuration apps provided, again, only 5% or something. But going forward, we are expecting a lot of Fiori apps for the configuration also. And last question is from Venugopal before I start unmuting you. It is, do you also support SAP S4HANA certification? Example, providing question banks for certification preparation. So see, question banks and all will not be able to provide because that is not something which is directly available. But as I told you, the certification documents that you will be getting will make sure that all the questions, all the topics which are available in these certification documents are covered, because there are a lot of students who gone through this course and they successfully completed the certification on SAP Simple Finance and SAP S4HANA. Let me tell you, from logistics point of view, there is no certification available as of now. It will be available in future, but the courses are available. Okay, so courses are available for changes in procurement separately, changes in sales separately, and changes in PP separately. So we are consolidating all that courses into one course, because whenever the certification will come, it will not be bifurcated into MMSD and PP. It will be the common certification for all these three modules. So that is something which will come in future. As of now, there is no certification available from the logistics point of view. But whenever it will be available, you will be definitely able to tackle that, because we are going to talk about each and everything from the certification document point of view. And Soumyan is asking, are there any changes in WM? So WM, yes, there are some changes. WM is not something which will be considered in future. It will be completely obsolete, and only solution will be EWM. So now the change is that EWM is going to be part of SAP S4 core system. So till now, EWM was something which was used as an external service which was interfaced with ECC, but now going forward, the EWM functionalities will become part of the core system. But that is something which will come in the next versions. As of now, only few things are available on the core system, but going forward, the complete WM functionality, EWM functionality will be available on the core system. So as I told you, not much of the changes are available from EWM point of view. Whatever are available, that we are going to discuss in this course. But there are a lot of things which will come in future. So if you are only considering, only thinking about EWM, I think it will be only not more than half an hour session. So that is something which you should note down, because if you are only coming to understand what has been changed from WM point of view, there are not much of the changes. Whatever are there, we'll be discussing in theoretical session, because lot of things are going to come in future. In 1709, 1710, we may be able to see lot of changes, but as of 1610, there are not much of changes. Okay, now let me unmute you one by one. Whoever has raised your question, please. Whoever has raised his hand and got his answer, please remove it from here so that you don't ask the same question what has been already addressed. Not only you, if somebody else has also asked that question, I recommend that don't repeat that question, because otherwise we'll just keep on answering the same questions again and again. Yeah, Srinivas, I just unmuted you. Please go ahead with your question.
Gaurav, my question is, while converting from existing system of ECC HP6 or HP7 to this S4HANA, whatever the custom codes, user exits, customer exits, enhancement points, or Z fields which are added to existing standard tables, how does it going to work? Does it SAP assures that it will be work as it is, or do I need to consider this as a re-implementation and need to do that?
No, as I told you earlier, that if you have some Z reports, and let's say somebody asks for Z reports, but you are asking about all Z objects, the nature is same. So there are some Z custom codes that you already created in your ECC system, and you want to know what will be the impact on that on SAP S4. So SAP has provided a tool called as Custom Code Analyzer. Using this tool, your technical consultant will run a program which will give you the complete idea, like what exactly, which custom codes will work as it is in SAP S4, and which custom codes due to some reason requires the modifications. Okay, so let's say if you have 100 custom codes, out of that, let's say 80, the report will tell you 80 will work as it is, and remaining 20 needs the adjustment. Now what is the adjustment required? So for example, there is one line, or there is one custom code which is a report which is trying to get the data from table KONV, which is no more available now, which has been replaced with a new table. So that will result in error, and it will give you the SAP note number that, okay, this is a problem, please refer to this SAP note. When you go into that SAP note, it will provide you the solution. So what you need to do, you need to perform that adjustment in order to use the same code in SAP S4. So to answer your question, most of the reports will work as it is. Wherever there is a change, you will get to know using the custom code analyzer tool, so that you can make the necessary adjustments. You don't need to rewrite any code from scratch.
The next question, Gaurav, as you said, this current S4HANA system still in initial stages, like it's not full-fledged system, complete. Next developments will go on, keep go on until it gets stabilized. If I undergo this training at this moment,
Yeah, sure,
and
yes.
if 1710 or something has been
Completed
released,
your question?
Not yet. Am I audible to you?
Hello. Okay, let me answer this. So as I told you, SAP S4HANA is a developing product. So we discussed, like SAP started off with hello.
Yep.
Yeah. So as I told you that SAP S4 SAP S4HANA is a developing product, because we seen that they first came up with Simple Finance, where they only simplified the financial transactions, financial processes. Then they came up with 1511, where they simplified the core business modules like MM, SD, and PP. Finally, they came up with 1610, where again the core modules are simplified. Okay, now from the core modules point of view, if we talk about FI, CO, SD, MM, PP, all these modules, whatever simplifications were planned, they are already available on the core modules. Now in 1709, 1710, 1810, whatever different versions will come, the focus will be on additional things like CRM, SRM, APO, EWM. These are the things which will be considered in future. So if you ask me what will be the impact on the new versions on the core business modules, the answer is there will not be any update on the core business modules. It will be only to the CRM, SRM, APO, EWM applications.
So it means that for these core modules, there is no further developments which will be released by SAP. If something they released, that will be on APO or some other systems, not these core modules.
There can be minor upgradations, but major upgradations, whatever were planned in these core modules, they are already available.
In case if any minor or something other changes to these core modules, will you provide any delta sessions for that in future for existing students which you trained?
Normally not, but what I can do is I will provide you the simplification document link where you can go and find it out like what has been changed, because if you know the basics, if you know the basics of SAP S4HANA, what are the different versions and all, then it will become easy for you even in future to go into that link and try to understand what has been changed compared to the last release that SAP has released.
Thanks, Gaurav.
Yeah, so currently we are focusing on 1610. So there is no plan in future to talk about 1709 because that is not going to happen. We already completed around 20 to 22 batches. So it will be practically impossible for us to bring all the consultants on the on that particular session. So I'll provide you the way in which you yourself can go and see what has been changed from the last version point of view. Okay, Srihari, I just unmuted you. Please go ahead with your question. You have muted yourself. You just need to unmute yourself and proceed. Yes.
Yeah, Gaurav, here what is the ABAP's role in S4HANA?
It is same. Whatever ABAP role was there in ECC, it is same. The ABAP will be required because all the codes which are written in the background, they are still ABAP.
Suppose my client, till now he never used ECC. The first time he is adapting S4HANA. Okay, so first time he is implementing directly S4HANA because no migration, nothing, no legacy ERP and all. So in that, still there will be an ABAP?
Yes. ABAP is still there. See the program, whatever application we are using, SAP S4HANA, it is again built upon ABAP itself. The background logic is ABAP only. HANA will help you in writing the ABAP codes, but ultimately everything is in ABAP.
Okay.
Yes, Swaroop, I just unmuted you. Please go ahead. You need to unmute yourself.
Yeah, hi Gaurav. As I mentioned in my chats, I have a couple of more questions to you. One is regarding to this configurations. So you said there will be two apps. One is for, for transactional app and another one is for reporting app. So is there any app for configs also, or we need to get it done in SPRO itself?
Yeah, so as I told you, from the configuration point of view, there are not much of apps which are available to from the Fiori point of view. So we still need to go with SPRO as of now, but going forward, we will be getting the apps for Fiori also.
Okay. So it's like similar to a CRM system where you have, front end that is for the customers and the back end you will be, doing your config. Is that way?
Yes. So the traditional GUI and SAP Fiori, both the things are available. So configuration you will be continuing to doing from the traditional GUI, and transactions you can do from SAP Fiori.
Okay. And one more question I was mentioned in chat itself was regarding to pricing. So as we discussed custom objects and some reports also, like G analyzer will give us a impact, which are the G objects which are getting impacted. So will that be capturing our routines also if the routine is getting impacted, or we need to change the routines, anything of that sort?
Yes. See, whatever will be impacted, definitely it has to be considered via the are you talking about the normal routines or you're talking about the Z routines?
G routines.
Yeah, Z routines, as I told you, whatever Z objects, it may be routines, it may be copies, it may be your reports, it may be your forms, everything will be handled via the custom code analyzer, where it will tell you what is the problem in the current code, and it will also tell you what are the adjustments required.
Okay. And in case standard routine?
Standard routines will be automatically adjusted.
Oh. There will be a separate note probably for them.
Right.
Or they might have taken in the migration. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, thanks, Gaurav.
Okay. Okay, so now we answered all the questions on the chat screen as well as on the, yeah, there is another question on the chat screen. Let me answer this. Any session on custom code analyzer in this course? Yes, we are going to, when we will be talking about the conversion, we'll be talking about the custom code analyzer. What is the simplification database, which is the SAP node relevant to it? How are you going to use that program? But that is something, as I told you, this will be done actually by your technical consultant. Okay, we'll understand what is the purpose of this, how to do that, but in your actual scenario, that will be done by your technical consultant, and you as a functional consultant will just get the report that, okay, this is the report which we got, now tell us how to proceed. Okay, so I'll talk about that. There will be definitely a session on custom code analyzer. Okay, any other questions? Please write on the chat screen. Otherwise, we'll close for today and we'll meet directly on the first session. Yes, Krishna. Yes, Krishna, please go ahead. Do you have any questions? No other questions? You can stop. Okay, Krishna, I'm just unmuting you. You are muted from here. That is the reason you are not able to speak. Just give me a minute. Yes, Krishna, you proceed with your question.
Yeah, hi Gaurav.
Yeah.
So if there is a project which is implementing S4 HANA directly to as a central finance. So obviously the logistics also will be involved in this, right? So in the sales point of view, so where exactly the configuration will be done for S4 HANA logistics? So it will be using GUI screens or Fiori screens. So that's what my question is.
Yeah. So see, first of all, you said you are implementing SAP S4HANA Central Finance. So it depends upon the version. It is not necessary that if you are implementing Central Finance, logistics will be also there. Because Central Finance can be implemented independently. As I told you, Simple Finance is something which will only simplify financial processes. Simplifying logistics is not mandatory. So it depends upon version. If you are going for 1503, 1605, these are the independent versions of simple finance. But if you are going for 1511, 1610, then definitely it will be central finance with logistics. Okay.
No, it
This
is
is
going
about
to
the
be,
background.
yeah, it is going to be implementation with 16110. Sorry, 1610.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, in that
Uh,
case, logistics as well as central finance both will be available. Now coming to your answer. So sales, PP, whatever configurations you are going to do, you are still going to follow the SPRO path till the time SAP is not coming up with the Fiori apps to perform the configuration. So now, even if you are on 1610, the configuration that you will be doing for sales, and PP, that you will be still following the same thing, the SPRO path, but still it doesn't mean that all the configurations are same. As I told you, there are some functionalities which are changed. So you will not be able to determine the output using the old technology. You will not be able to use the credit management using the same technology. You will not be able to use the rebate processing using the same configuration. For this, there is some new configuration in place. That is something which we are going to discuss in this course.
Okay, so you mean to say, so if I am the new to SAP, I mean S4HANA, so logistics, I am the SD consultant. Okay, so okay, so when I am going to implement the in logistics perspective for sales, so do I notice this is, so when I am going to configure through GUI, so as per as a standard SAP transactions codes. So do I notice, I mean, will I be able to notice this is the something different from standard SAP? So when I'm doing the configuration for S4HANA.
Definitely, you will notice that because there are a lot of things which you were able to see in ECC which might not be available at all for the configuration itself. Just go for credit management. If you try to configure the credit management using the old way, you will find that configurations itself are not available because this functionality is not at all available in S4HANA.
Okay, you mean to say the FD32 is still remains, but the configuration part is different, right? You mean to say
No, no,
that?
no. Even FD32, if you try to run FD32 transaction, that will also result in error. Do you want me to show that? Just give me a minute. I will just
Yep.
give the glimpse of the server.
Yep. So one kind request, if you show how SAP S4HANA will be, looks like, so we'll get an idea. So how it differs from standard SAP and S4HANA.
Yeah. That is anyways we are going to discuss in first 2-3 sessions.
Okay.
So I'll just give you the overview as of now, like coming to your point, that is how FD32 screen will not work in. Okay, so are you able to see the SAP server now?
Yes.
Okay. So this is my 1610 system.
Okay.
See, I'm still able to use this traditional GUI to perform the configurations, and even I can do the transactions from here, but it is not recommended because we are also getting SAP Fiori. So this is the link for SAP Fiori. If I double click on this will take me to the SAP Fiori apps from where I can do the transactions using browser-based screen. I'll write the same user ID and password here. We'll be discussing all these things in detail. So as of now, I'm just helping you out in understanding how the screen looks like. Okay, so this is my SAP Fiori screen. Once I log in, I'll be getting the different kind of apps. Some of the apps are transactional apps, some of the apps are analytical apps. So create purchase contract, change purchase contract. These are the transactional apps which are allowing me to do the transactions. Similarly, there are some apps like display subcontracting stocks by supplier. So this is a display. Display means what? It is a report. So this is called as analytical apps. Okay, so this is how, in addition to the traditional GUI, you are also getting the SAP Fiori screen. Now, if I go for SPRO, okay, where I was configuring the system earlier, you will see a lot of new things. Like for this migration to SAP S4HANA Finance, this is a cockpit. Okay, apart from this, if you go with the normal way, if you go for sales and distribution, basic functions, I'm just giving the example of credit management.
Okay.
Okay, and here if you go for this credit management, see, there is no configuration available at all. Whatever configuration you were doing earlier, if you go to this documentation, it will clearly say that this credit management is no more available. Whatever you want to configure, it is only available via this financial supply chain management.
Okay.
Right. So whatever configuration you were doing from here, it is not at all available. Even the transaction, as I told you, FD32. If I execute FD32, it will result in error because this is something not at all available in SAP S4. So this is something which we are going to discuss. This is something from the process point of view which we are going to discuss, which processes are changed and how are we going to configure these processes in SAP S4.
Okay.
Yep. Any other questions before we stop? Okay, so let's close this and hope to see you in the first class. The administrators will contact you whenever we are starting the first class. So at least attend first session to understand what is SAP HANA overview, where we'll be getting a lot of other information also which will be useful for you. Okay, thank you. Bye.